G'day viewers, my name's Graeme Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists do what they do.
Well, hi folks. Well, for this episode, we are actually in my hometown of Murwillumbah in northern New South Wales in Australia. Fantastic place. And we're going to be filming a lady that I've known for quite some time now. We actually did a little bit of painting with each other quite a while back, didn't we? Mm-hmm. So, but I would like to present you to Mrs. Roslyn Oakes. Great to be here, honey. Yeah, Ros is a fantastic artist. She's actually gone on since you and I have had a relationship to become a professional practicing artist and sells her work quite well. You've actually just sold some paintings recently, haven't you?
Yep.
It's pretty cool. And she does a variety of things. She does wildlife, she does landscapes, birds, but I mean, we'll show that as we go through the day, but a lot of really interesting stuff. But this is also in conjunction with a really special arts festival that we have coming up, and that's the reason that Roslyn and another lady is coming on the show as well, a lady called Sandra Guy. And it's to celebrate the arts within the Murwillumbah area. And we have a thing every year now in May called the Murwillumbah Arts Trail. And we're really just celebrating the local talent and the local arts, the performing arts. And the whole of Murwillumbah for about 10 days literally becomes an art festival in any senses. And we have some great galleries. There's some fantastic places where people are setting up to really take advantage of the arts in this community. Most people don't know that this cauldron that we live in, which is the second largest extinct volcanic cauldron in the world, has also the largest amount of artists per capita in the southern hemisphere in the world. So not only is this an amazingly beautiful place, but you've got...
It's inspirational.
It's fantastic. I mean, there's parrots and birds, platypuses. I mean, it really is one of the most prettiest places in the world, and that's part of the reason that you and I live here. But we're going to go through some of your work today. You're going to be doing a barn scene for us, or a country scene.
Yep.
But as I said, Ros paints a lot of different subject matter, from wildlife, turtles to birds and frogs. You love frogs. What's the story about the frogs?
A friend of mine, John Pumpas, is a photographer, and he's very good at photographing frogs. And so he let me have a lot of subject matter from his work, and yeah, so I just got into painting the frogs. But I love any animals.
Yeah,
frogs, snakes, lizards, birds.
Yeah, and
natural environment.
And to live in the area that we live in, it's sort of pretty obvious, isn't it? That's what you're going to go to. But you're a multi-award winning artist as well. You've done really well since you've actually taken this on as a practicing artist.
Thank you.
You've been in a whole bunch of different publications, and obviously galleries are wanting your work all the time. But and a lovely lady too. I've known Ros for quite some time now. But
Thank you.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to step out of shot, because part of the reason that we're here is to obviously see you do what you do. And we'll just follow you through today, and you'll get to see some of Ros's work, which is really quite spectacular. So I'll get out of shot and we'll let you start, okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
So when you first start painting, just go out and take heaps of reference photos, heaps and heaps of photos like landscapes, animals, whatever you're interested in. Don't worry if they're not great, you might get 1 or 2 out of the 100 or 200 if you're lucky, like me. And then just go and print off a black and white photo from your best shot, which is something that will look like that. And that will show you your lights and darks, where they are, make it much easier for yourself. Okay, then if you can also print off a very good photo, like 10 by 12, 8 by 12, 10 or something, that's very good high definition, and you can see where everything is. That'll make it easy too. Okay, and then I always do little painted sketches like this, which work really well. you can draw little sketches, but the painted ones really help with the colours and things like that. I find it invaluable.
What about the board that you're putting it on now? You've actually got, I think it's masonite or something?
This is MDF. You can use bits
MDF.
of ply or anything just for your painted sketches.
Uh-huh.
Anything, canvas, anything.
And your part,
Doesn't matter. Anything you can paint on.
your partner Carl actually makes these for you.
These ones,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
He actually cuts these up as well for me. He's a good man. But luckily he does these for me as well, which are MDF, which are fine as long as you seal it really well with a sealer. And you can just get that from any paint shop.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to mix up the paint for the sky. I'm going to start off with Payne's Grey because we want a stormy sky. Ultramarine blue.
And you're using, is it Art Spectrum oils?
Art Spectrum and Winsor and Newton
Okay.
are both really good.
But you paint with pastels and watercolours and acrylics and the whole lot, don't you?
Yeah, I'd like to choose a medium that suits the subject, like a landscape or a leaf or an animal, and I'll just think, wow, that would be great. That would work well in acrylics, or that would work well in oil, or pastel would be just work really well and be fantastic for the texture, and so that's what medium I'll use. Okay, this is Spectrum Blue, and then white. Okay. I'll just mix up a nice stormy looking sky.
So you're also living in this wonderful area. There's a gentleman called Andy Romanis, who we both know well. I think it was Andy and I that actually taught you some of the things that you've learned over the years.
Yeah.
And you've also been involved with a great local project because of this magnificent area, and it was called the Green Cauldron Panorama, which Andy Romanis put together with a lot of the stuff that he's been doing with the arts in the area. And it literally is a panorama that you guys, there was a number of you that actually painted it over quite a period of time, because it's really, really detailed, and it takes into all of the different facets and the mountain ranges and everything that's involved within the Caldera. And just a magnificent piece. And that's actually on display in Mooloombah as well, if people wanted to come along and look at it. But it's sort of from the top of Mount Warning, which is the first place in Australia, funny enough, to get sunshine in the morning. And that whole area, looking down at it, it's sort of like gorillas in the mist, isn't it?
It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's beautiful images. Beautiful work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you don't want to walk up to the top of Mount Warning, you can go and see the panorama.
Yeah.
And just stand in the middle, and it's a 360-degree view. It's
The whole
just
thing.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
pretty amazing what you guys did with that.
Okay, so now the colours are mixed up for the sky. Because the sky is a reasonably large area, I'll just use a big brush and whack it on pretty quickly, and then blend the colours later.
It's a nice colour, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lovely. So I'm also of the understanding, through your very generous time, that you teach at some nursing homes occasionally to help the elderly to get in touch with.
Yeah, once
their
a
artistic
fortnight
side.
I teach
Yeah.
at the nursing home.
I think that's great that you can do that for the elderly folks, and give them an opportunity to be creative. I think it's
Oh, they
great.
love it. It's changed their lives, they've said to me.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that they would like to do it every day if they could. They just love it
Wow.
so much, yeah. And they're really talented. Like, some have never painted before in their lives, and they've just picked up a brush and gone for it. And because they love it so much, which is, you know, if you want to paint and you like it, you're 90% of the way there, because the passion is really what you need, and then just put the work in after.
But it's just fantastic. I mean, sometimes I can be in a nursing home for quite some time, and I think the worst thing that can happen to you is boredom as you get older.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And we put out a calendar every year, and we make so much money out of selling that calendar.
That's great.
Because their work is brilliant.
So is there any specific spot? I mean, everywhere you go in this valley, this caldera, there's just beautiful scenery, but there's any particular spot that you really like going to in the area?
It's all beautiful, and you don't have to go too far to look for reference material. Sometimes you can find just the best reference material in your backyard. So it's not like you have to go too far. Just you can find sometimes the best images just down the road or in your backyard.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So one of the great things about this area is obviously the wildlife, but there's a gentleman called John Pumpus that you get a number of frog photos from.
Yeah.
And there are some fantastic frogs in this area because it's so wet, it's like rainforest. And I was just wanting to bring a couple of those up. You've got the red-eyed tree frog, which really does have extremely red eyes. And then and a frog that we have in the area is the green tree frog, which is quite a large frog. Those guys are always out in your back doorstep some of the time, just sort of croaking away.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I love about what you do as well is the bird pieces that you create. And just before, they've gone away at the moment, but we have the Australian laughing kookaburra that was just outside your back door.
Yeah, they're very loud.
Yeah, and you've got one piece called Kookaburras from Cavenbach, which is...
Kookaburra Cavenbach, it means meeting place.
Okay.
Cavenbach is an Aboriginal word for meeting place.
Okay.
And the kookaburras were meeting on the fence and having a talk, so that's why I called it Kookaburra Cavenbach.
Well, they've been doing the same thing in your backyard this morning.
They have.
But it's a lovely piece, it really is. Now, okay, you actually picked up another brush, which is a fan brush.
Yeah.
And what are you using the fan brush for?
I'm just using the fan brush to soften off the edges of the clouds and make them look softer. Mm-hmm. Blending that into the other paint, the blue paint that was already there, to soften off the edges and give them a more cloudy, soft, atmospheric look and feel.
Yeah, you do have another piece as well, I'll just bring up at the moment, that is a great example of actually really softening that off for an out of focus effect, and that's the python portrait. And it's just this great photo, well, painting of this python's head just coming out through the darkness. And it's a similar technique that you've used in creating that background as well.
Yeah, I wanted to try and make it look like his head was almost ready to turn. Like that's why I blurred the background a little bit, put all the emphasis on the head. While you're painting the roof, just make sure you go in the direction that your iron will go. Same with fur, water, anything you're painting, make sure you go in the direction that your painting's going to be, like your fur or your water or your iron, your timber. Brush strokes in the same direction works best. Just got to put a little bit of burnt umber on the side here and under there, so it will show through on the next layer and be nice and dark.
You're just really starting to build your picture forward.
Yeah, start from the back. I always start from the back and build forward. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, speaking of darker colours, you've got two pieces that I'd like to show now, which I think are just really beautiful paintings. One is of a barn owl flying through a dark background. It just stands out just spectacularly well. And the other one is of an egret, and it's called Out of the Mist. And you often see birds flying around. We've got lakes and creeks and streams in this area, and in the evenings you can see them just flying across this really still water, and it's a spectacular sight.
Okay, so I'm moving on to the boards now. Because I have the darks on my palette already, I'll use the similar colours for the boards, the old weathered boards, bluey greys, making it look like timber.
You've actually got a piece called Fallen Warriors, which you look at the thing, I mean the colours are very similar to what you're doing here, but it's really, really detailed.
We are weathered timber.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, but the feature in there is, if you look at that, you don't really notice it, but it's the lizard. It's the lizard that's there.
Yeah, the bearded dragon.
The bearded dragon. You know, you can bring up paintings like Antarctic beech trees, which has just got so much great detail in it, and the stag horns in the whole thing as well. It's a lot of detail in a lot of what you're doing. different angles in the work that you do as well.
I just try and draw attention to the natural environment through my work. It could be just a section of a tree or a staghorn or an elk horn, and I just want to bring that to people's attention so that they realise that, you know, the natural beauty that's around us, and it's just beautiful to paint. So because the timber is different colours, we just need to get some light patches and some dark patches and some variation in the timber in, and then you can always go back later on and put in a couple of darks to separate you, make it look more like slabs of timber. Okay, I'm just going to mix up some colours for the roof, some nice rusty reds and orangey colours. And I've got burnt umber, alizarin crimson and cadmium yellow. So we just want some nice reddy browns and something that looks like old rust on a shed. And for this I'll use a coarser brush, like the rattier the better. So with this one, because it's not a good brush and it's uneven, when it makes the marks, they're separated like the rust on the roof.
You can see it looks like old rusted
rust.
galvanised iron.
Yeah, I love these old sheds and silos, they're just beautiful.
There's another piece that you've got, which is of the area that we live in. It's a real panoramic piece of the Tweed River and the little houses and little villages.
Yeah,
it's called View from a Hill.
Yeah, that was a commissioned piece that someone asked me to do for them. It was the view from their backyard, actually.
Okay, great view.
Yes, yeah, they've got a beautiful view.
And really, it's just it's a real dry brush technique.
Yeah, no medium.
Yeah, no.
Just paint.
Just scratch it along.
Yeah, just scratch it along. Okay, I'm just going to move on to using one of these dagger brushes because they're just good for the little angles, and I can use it for the wider strokes, or I can turn it that way and use it for a skinny stroke, a little narrow stroke if I want to. So very handy. And they're good for when I'm doing the poles. I can scrape it around this way and give the impression of the pole being round and give it a bit of shape, you know. So very versatile little brush to have.
Yes, they're very good, those ones.
Oh man. Invaluable. I
You
love
can just
them.
get into those real tight spaces sometimes.
Yeah, you can just use a little fine point at the end, or you can use the tip, like the flat part on the edge, for doing a long skinny line, or, you know. So I'm just pulling it this way now to give the illusion of the pole being round. Okay, I'm just going to start doing some work on the silo now. I'm going to put the shadow in at the side. And it's a bit dark, but I can mix it with some other colours and drag it across because I have to give it that feeling of being round as well. Okay, I'm just going to do some work I've mixed up some colours and I'm going to do some work on the grass now. Right, so I'll just start working in some colours along here.
That looks pretty dynamic.
I want to use a lot of yellows in the painting because they're a contrast to the blue, so it will give it a bit more oomph.
So the Murwillumbah Arts Trail, May the 18th to the 27th. Every year, but you've been involved in it a couple of times now, haven't you, Ros?
It's a good thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
There's lots of different artists and lots of different work, and a lot of people come to have a look at your work.
Well, they got a whole bunch of things that they do. They're lighting up the buildings and huge amount of interest, people coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
And a fantastic time with all sorts of street performers, artists, sculptors. Just a fantastic place to be. The whole town basically turns into a gallery. So if anybody wants to get some more information on the Murwillumbah Arts Trail, you can go to the website, which is the murwillumbah.artstrail.com. And if you want to see some of Roz's work on her website, it's roslynoakes.wix.com/rosarty.
That's it.
And Roz has her work for sale in the website. She does sell quite a lot of work because it's just such fantastic, fantastic work anyway. But yeah, if you'd like to talk to her about sales and even commissions, Roz does take a lot of commissions. She does
Yes, I love commission work.
Okay, she does do animal portraitures on occasions and can paint just about anything you need. And also in conjunction with the Moolumbar Arts Trail and supporting Roz Oakes and also Sandra Guy, who are the two ladies that we're filming for the festival, we wanted to put out a really big thank you to Destination New South Wales Regional Flagship Funding. That department has stepped forward and been extremely generous in supporting our local festival and in supporting the ladies in part and parcel of being part of Colour in Your Life. So it's just a great word that we want to spread around the world so that everybody out there that loves art knows where this great little town is in northern New South Wales. And we hope to see you guys here every May from the 18th to the 27th. Okay, Ros, well I can see you put the fence in there as well.
Yep.
Sort of moved on pretty rapidly, so is there anything else you need to do to finish up?
I'm just going to put some highlights on the fence where the light's hitting along the top of the fence. There's always a little bit of light along the top of these old fences. When the light shines on, you always have to put a little bit of a highlight.
Sort of often referred to in the industry, particularly with landscapes and streetscapes, as putting the bling.
Yeah, the bling.
On the final piece.
Yeah,
Just
I've heard that before.
Little touches that just bring everything
Yeah,
up.
a little bit of bling, a little bit of light.
Yeah.
A little bit more light on these ones down here. Just a touch. Okay, I think it's done.
Wunderbar. Okay, from the beautiful Moolumbar Cauldron in Tweed Valley. Roslyn, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for coming.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Roslyn's come a great deal of a way in her career. It's been fantastic what you've been doing. Also, we'd like to thank Destination Tweed for helping us out and being part and parcel of the Moolumbar Arts Trail, and of course the Moolumbar Arts Trail, and Natasha Wernick, who is one of our managers these days. Natasha's put this together. She's a pretty incredible lady as well. And also, let me just say this again for you. If you'd like to go and see some more of Roz's work, you can go to roslynoakes.wix.com/rosarty. It's a complex one, but you can see it on the bottom of the screen anyway. But we've had a great time. Don't forget to come and see us at Facebook. Our YouTube channel is really expanding quite rapidly these days, and we're on social networks all over the world. Lots and lots of TV stations coming on board these days. But thanks once again, guys. If you can, try and get to the Moolumbar Arts Festival in May. You'll have a lot of fun and meet some amazing people and come to an amazing area as well. But until we see you again, remember, guys,
make sure you put some colour in your life.
That's right. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye now.